Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W, we are going to do a run through of some of the more bigger news from week 1 and give our reactions to a couple of the bigger games. And
Week 1? Why are we going back to week 1 again?
Sorry. Week 2
Okay,
is what we're going to be doing a recap
all my
of.
notes are on week 2.
We're gonna do a double recap of week 1, and then of course we'll also be giving our predictions for week 3. So as for week 2, just a little checkup on our picks. Well, actually, first of all, before we get into it, I would just like to give a update on the whole YouTube situation. We're expanding. I started the YouTube channel. I got everything set up. So sadly, I was really busy, and we made a few mistakes with me working on getting the audio and video synced up and working on that last week. So I didn't end up getting to do that, so I'm going to have to do that this week. Hopefully I can get it figured out. If not, I'm just going to put a YouTube video up with the same audio that you would hear on Anchor or on wherever you listen to the podcast.
Anchor, Spotify.
And then I'll have the graphics that I have set up for our week 2 and week 3 picks in this episode, for example. And then so while we're talking about the recap of week 2, we'll have our picks up for that. And then when we switch to our predictions for week 3, I'll have the graphics up for that. You kind of get what I'm saying. So hopefully we can have actual video with it and you guys can see us.
We're getting there.
And that stuff.
We're
but if
getting
not,
there.
that will be a little bit down the line. Should have it set up by the next week or two. And then just have this episode with just the picture. But, we'll find out. We'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully it all runs smoothly and we can actually just get it all in how I want it. But, you can't always get what you want. Especially with technology. It's all great until it doesn't work. But, getting into a quick recap of... What?
Nothing.
What?
Didn't say anything.
You
I'm
want
sorry.
to say that a little louder? No. Yeah. Rough week for Vikings fans, but whatever. But a quick recap of the little head-to-head game Cal and I have for our predictions. I got 1, 2, 3, 4.
You got 11?
Yeah. I got 11 points this week, which is much better than the 8 last week. And Callan got 10 points this week, which was much better than his 7 last week, which puts our total score for week 2. I have 19 points and Callan has 17 points. So expanded my lead a little bit, not by a ton, but,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
We're both within 1 each week.
Yep.
I mean, pretty even it seems that we are.
Yep, we're staying close. We pick a lot of the same games, but then we also go pretty even
We
on...
have different ones.
But then even on the different ones, we go pretty even where I'll win a couple of them and then you'll win a couple of them. So, yep, it's definitely a neck-to-neck race. You probably want to hear me talk about the Vikings game this week. I'm just not. It's not worth it. It was a great game.
Didn't have to.
It was a great game on both sides. The Vikings looked a lot better. All I'm saying about that.
At least there is that. They did look very good offensively.
Oh, yeah, we're smoking the Seahawks this week in U.S. Bank.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying about the Week 2 game, it's always the kicker. It's just the kicker. Never
Always
fails. So, Callum, would you
Never
like to
fails,
talk
man.
a little bit about the Packers game?
Sure. The Packers game went pretty well for me. It was a little close there in that first half. The defense looked just as awful as it did last week for the first half. And then for the second half, they seemed to finally get their shit together and shut out the Lions in the second half.
Like you should do.
Yeah, like it probably should have been. But that's all right. Lions came out a little excited. And Eric Stokes played more, and I thought he played much better than Kevin King played. Kevin King immediately allowed a big play and a touchdown on the first drive. So,
That's
picking up
some Kevin
right
King shit
where
right
he
there.
left off from last week and last playoffs. So that's good, consistency, I guess.
They say you want consistent corners, but they never specified which consistency.
Yeah, how consistent. So that allowed Stokes in. I don't know if that was coaching or injury related. King did have one good coverage on a play where both him and Cephas went up for a ball and both landed pretty hard. And then after that, Stokes played a little bit more, but he did have pretty good coverage on that last play.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just if he hurt himself a little bit or if they were like, we're going to give Stokes a try over here. And Stokes had three pass breakups and a touchdown, tackle.
Yeah, that's
So,
not bad.
yeah.
I saw that one big one on fourth down. That was a huge momentum swing.
And he did that was his tackle, but it kept him from getting past the first down.
Yeah. I mean, it was
So he did let him catch it, but
the fourth down pass breakup that I saw from him was
maybe it was the
it
other.
was much more of a
It
was much more of a Goff bad decision, but he gets credit for it.
That's right. He tackled him on third down, which caused a short fourth down,
and then
he had the pass breakup on fourth down.
Yeah,
which there was a Packers coach that got so excited for that. He ran into Stokes and runs into him, and he face first.
Really?
Yeah. So I was watching it, and I was like, I think that coach just ran into Stokes face first, and I rewinded it and put it on slow motion, and you can see him run in and his face turns and you can the slow motion
trying to give
videos
trying to give him a mooch or something.
Yeah. And I think you can immediately see blood in his nose because he runs into him right into his face mask, but he was so excited for Stokes he didn't even think about it.
It's just too much
he was
hype.
So pumped up, those coaches when they make a good play for those young players, that's all that hard work paying off for them, so
yeah, hype.
Yeah, he was excited. I'm glad the whole team was excited that dude just gave himself a concussion. I hope he's all right. Didn't hear of any reported concussions last night on the injury report, so I don't know if they do
the coaches on the
coaching injury
the
report.
coaches on the injury
I don't even know
report.
who it was. I think it was our defensive coordinator. So.
Imagine. Yeah, that'd be a tough.
Especially with all the, pressure that he's had on the D coordinator. All the pressure he's had on him this week for being so bad. Joe Barry.
Joe Barry, that's what I
So
thought,
I'm sure he was like, yes, we got a fourth down
we
stop.
did it, we did
it.
We stopped Jared Goff.
You got to start somewhere.
What a room for celebration.
Got to start somewhere and build some confidence.
So 2 teams in the NFC North finally got a win this week. Of course, not one of them being the Vikings, but whatever. A couple of pretty big upsets this week. The Raiders went into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers, which was pretty good.
Yep.
The Raiders really balled out. Henry Ruggs had a really good game.
Which, if you go back to last week, I was very persistent about not trusting West Coast teams going to the East Coast to play a noon game. All of the West Coast teams won their noon games. So I will retire that statement.
I was gonna say you just gotta give up
I
at
have
this point.
thrown it out of my rule book. I guess it's not like it used to be. Maybe
It's actually a benefit now.
it almost seems to be.
With all the private jets and stuff, it probably is. It's
there's
relaxing.
a number of East Coast teams going to the West Coast to play 3:00 games this week. I'm betting on those East Coast teams now. It's all about the road teams.
Not quite an upset on this one, but Cal and I both got it correct with Browns as our lock last week, which, as you remember from the rules, means we each got 2 points for that one. So
Which
that
was a little
nice.
bit closer than I thought it was.
But I know you wanted to talk about the Texans a little bit, so I'll let you do that.
Houston looked okay against the Browns, and Tyrod got hurt, and so now, as it goes, another tale as old as time. Another superstar will be born. The Texans are running with DM3 now. Davis Mills the third at quarterback. Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson, I like that.
Because, hey, the Texans, they knew how this would go. They've seen it. They saw it in Buffalo. They've seen it in Cleveland. LA last year. You start Tyrod. You get a young quarterback behind him. Let Tyrod get hurt whenever that is.
Reports came out that they actually tried to pay the team doctor to hurt Tyrod.
All right, it hurt. Yeah, it worked last year. So,
that's what
they
Chargers
just,
did.
they were like, hey, we already won. Maybe we'll hurry this up. So, the Browns were like, we got you. We know how this works.
But yeah, so Tyrod is out. Davis Mills is in. Definitely keep an eye on Davis Mills this week on Thursday.
My upset special is run
Whoa, we'll get to it.
All right.
Calm down.
All right.
Another pretty big upset from last week, week 2, was the Panthers beating the Saints. I guess it wasn't a huge upset. It's hard to call divisional games full upsets because they're always so close. But
Never matters on
with
the
the
record.
Saints coming in on such a high pedestal, I don't remember if I said it specifically in the podcast. I picked them, but the bigger they are, the harder they fall. All of those sayings.
I even noted, that the Panthers bring the Saints back down to earth with a definitive victory because
very definitive.
Were pretty. I mean, they were like the Saints or the Panthers did to the Saints what the Saints did to the Packers last week. Not quite. It wasn't 38-3.
Nope.
But the Saints
26-7, I believe.
Yes, the Saints or the Panthers did definitely outplay them.
Sam
from beginning
Darnold.
to end.
Darnold. That defense looks great. That defense is definitely kind of carrying that
Horn got his
offense.
first career interception.
J.C. Horn played very well, but Sam Darnold played extremely well. He did exactly what he needed to. I believe he had no interceptions. Might have had one,
I don't think so.
I don't think it might have been 0. 2 or 3 touchdowns,
he
over 300 yards.
He had 2 touchdowns, and McCaffrey had 1.
Yep. DJ Moore also had a really good game. So, man, I've been saying it for a while now. I really like Sam Darnold.
I think they look good.
That young defense is just going to keep developing throughout the season. Watch out for the Panthers, man. They're going to be a good team because other than the Bucks, that NFC South is wide open.
Well, I mean, Atlanta,
and I can see the Bucks slowly falling apart throughout this season too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Atlanta almost came back on them, and I was going to say Atlanta, like I said last week, already looks like they've mailed in the season.
Pretty much.
So the fact that they were trying to put up a fight against Tampa, which is, I think it's just a game they get up for, divisional game, another one, but I don't know. Atlanta just seems like a team that's like, I know, we're not really playing for this year. Like
Atlanta was, I can't remember exact numbers. I believe it was at one point down by 15, and then at one point later in the game down by 3, and then by the end of the game we're lost by 18.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how you have a 12-point swing for you and then a 16-point against
you pull the Matt Schaub special,
sorry,
which is ironic because Matt Schaub played in Atlanta behind Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan pulled a Matt Schaub and did back-to-back pick sixes.
That's a dagger right there.
That will do it.
When all those poor Falcons fans, I feel for you guys getting that close.
Still never been able to recover from that Super Bowl.
They just really haven't. Not at all. It's crazy.
It literally stunned them.
28-3. I mean, I don't blame them. That's a tough thing to get over. That's rough.
It shocked their franchise to the point of destruction.
Callan and I both lost our upsets. Me losing with the Jets, which was kind of a stupid pick overall. That Pats defense is just good. Zach Wilson's running for his life, especially with Mekhi Becton out. Man, poor Zach Wilson. He had so much promise. Callan lost his...
Also, he's done already. Like, yeah, that was...
Well, I mean...
that was good while it lasted.
God, I'm really rooting for him. I still really like Zach Wilson. It's just not looking good.
The Jets, man, they just don't know what to do.
Yep. Callan lost his upset with the Bengals in a game that featured back-to-back-to-back interceptions by Joe Burrow and a extended appearance from Justin Fields, who will now start in Week 3.
I'm pretty sure it has not official yet.
Oh, it's not official?
No, but it's
Andy Dalton suffered an injury,
a bone
that's
bruise
making it look like that.
On his knee. He did not have a torn ACL. He has a bone bruise on his knee. And then, Fields entered the game pretty early. Dalton got hurt. And then Fields actually threw a pick six and almost let the Bengals come back and steal it after being up by 10.
That's his welcome to the NFL moment. Everybody has one.
That defense was able to close it out for him at the end.
Yep. Colts really kept it much closer to the Panthers than I thought they would, but then sadly Carson Wentz ended up getting injured, and Jacob Eason had to clutch up, and he did not, to say the least.
Which, I mean, young quarterback.
Poor guy, going up against probably the best defense.
Yeah,
in
the Rams
NFL
defense, down by 3 with less than 3 minutes, and you got to drive down the field. That's hard enough for a starting quarterback, Yeah, Wentz sprained both of his ankles.
Of course he did.
I-
That's such a Carson Wentz thing to
Yeah.
do. Like, there's just no other way to put it other than that's a Carson Wentz thing to do.
That's like my biggest fear.
It's just step on an uneven surface and
Yeah.
both of your ankles.
You roll
just
both
flop
of your
down.
ankles. What you just would go down, right? I mean,
that's tough. I never thought about
I know,
that
right?
until right now.
It runs through my head daily. Like, don't roll both of your ankles. That's
Yeah, focus on it. Titans win in a very exciting game in Seattle. Derrick Henry had 161 yards, 3 touchdowns, something like that.
including a 65-yarder.
Including a 65-yarder.
I only know because that pushed me over 100 points on our fantasy league.
Yep.
After that point, I quit paying attention to my fantasy game. I was like, nope, that won it.
You just knew you
Yep.
won. Yeah. Derrick Henry returned to form after having a rough week last week. Cowboys barely outlast the Chargers in LA.
That one
And
surprised me a
so
little
I
bit.
heard there was some controversy in there. I didn't get to watch the game, sadly. I'm not really sure. Something with the refs. Maybe I'm wrong. But they went out on a game-winning field goal in a surprisingly low-scoring game for two high-powered offense going against each other. 20-17 was the final.
So one running back had 100 yards rushing between the two teams. Do
Oh,
you know
in
which,
that game?
Yeah. Do you know which one it was?
I do not. By how surprised, I'm going to guess it's someone crazy like Josh Jackson or Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
Tony
had
Pollard's a
100
beast,
yards rushing in that game.
2019 rookie. I can't remember where he's out
looking
of.
a little bit better than Zeke right now in that offense.
Well, because he's a receiving back.
Mhm.
How can he not?
Zeke's a
He's
power
actually-
runner.
I mean, Zeke, if you get in the red zone, put Zeke in. and
Right.
he's gonna beat you
Zeke
in the
had
end zone.
60 yards and I think 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pollard had over 100.
Tony Pollard and Zeke are a nice 1-2 punch. I really like that backfield in Dallas. Chiefs lose to the Ravens in a shocker. As Cal and I were talking earlier, at the beginning or before the season started, if you were to say there's 2-0 teams left
In the
in
AFC.
the AFC
They're
West,
both out of the AFC West. Which two are they?
everyone would say Chiefs and Chargers, but it is actually the Raiders Broncos.
The Broncos.
Which is a
Which
crazy...
means, that means that Rodgers went to the Broncos, right?
no,
No, it's Teddy
Teddy
Two Gloves
Gloves
at 2-0.
giving the dubs. But as Cal and I were talking before we started,
They
that
have the
schedule
easiest
is
schedule
very
to
easy.
start the season.
I think the Raiders look like the much more impressive team
Now
in that
they
situation.
beat the Ravens, who just beat the Chiefs, and the Steelers, who are were 11-0 last year. I mean, they're a
Yep.
good team.
They beat the Bills last week.
Right. So,
week one, sorry.
Yeah. Yep. So
And
that was a very good win for them, I think.
it's that AFC
And it
West is
what was it,
looking
like
a tough
17 to
division
11.
overall.
So I mean, they were able to shut down that offense and
Yeah.
still score some points on that defense.
That AFC West is looking like a tough division. And then, of course, Callan already talked about the Packers game. The Packers beat the Lions, which you both got correct. So, that was our Week 2 recap, and now we will flip it over to Week 3 for a preview. So, starting with the Thursday night game, we have the Panthers-Texans, and Callan, now I will
Okay.
let you finish your thought that
All
I
right.
cut you off on earlier.
And now, with Tyrod out there not activating Watson, it is time to run DM3. Just as, like I said, a tale old as time. You get Tyrod, you let him get hurt, and then you put in the young guy to blossom into the superstar. And this is DM3's turn.
DM3. What a perfect. That's better than that. That rolls off the tongue better than Run CMC.
Right?
Run DM3. I like that. I really like that.
So, as my upset special of the week, I of course have to go with the new guy. DM3 and the Texans taking out the darling of the season so far, the Panthers.
I really like that pick. I can easily see the Texans winning that game.
They've
It's in
looked pretty
Houston.
good for being just a thrown together group of players. and
Literally
street
thrown
free
together.
agents. I mean, they played pretty decent against. They won. Who did they beat? Jacksonville.
They won
Played
against
pretty decent.
Jacksonville.
And put a good test up to Cleveland, who pulled away late.
In Cleveland. It was
even.
impressive.
I didn't think it would be that close, but they look pretty good, even with DM3.
That backfield is carrying them, man. They got Phillip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, and David Johnson still, which they got in the awful trade with the Cardinals, but everyone
that
already
was
knows
Bill
about that.
O'Brien.
But I mean, I think they all three have a touchdown or two this
Mhm.
season. Like, it's a crazy
And
team.
Brandon Cooks is taking the number one role and running with it.
Brandon
finally.
Cooks being the only receiver on that team is proving himself to be an available wide
Right.
receiver one.
Everybody's like, he could never be a one. He could never be a one. He has a true chance to be a number one receiver on a team right now.
Yes,
and he is
taken.
stepping up to it. So, like, I guess it just took him a while, or he just wants to be the star on
a bad
a,
team.
on a
Yeah.
bad team.
Like I said, I like that pick. It's in Houston, but I gotta stick with my boy Sam Darnold. I've been too high on him. He's been playing too well. That young Panthers defense, I think it's going to be a little bit of a shock for Davis Mills, even though he is the Tyrod prodigy. I took the Panthers in this game.
The only other thing is, I don't know if you saw, but Christian McCaffrey missed a little bit of time during the game last week.
Chuba Hubbard,
So
put him in.
right, and I know Chuba's good, but Christian McCaffrey is an established.
He's a
superstar.
different breed, but
Yeah, but I don't know. As far as I know, he's gonna play. I haven't heard anything different, but he might not be 100%. So
Okay, and the next game is the Chiefs-Chargers in Kansas City. I have the Chiefs because, you come back from a loss. No good team loses 2 times in a row. The Chiefs are a good team. I just don't see them dropping another one. But Callan, you have the Chargers.
and I have the Chargers because, as you say, no good team loses 2 in a row like the Packers. The Chiefs are not a good team, and they're gonna lose 2 in a row.
If the Chiefs lose 2 in a row, it is official. Broncos or the Raiders are winning the AFC North. The Chiefs aren't making
No,
the
it
playoffs.
isn't so much. I think they're not a good team. It's a divisional game. This is I guess I was gonna say it's a bad deal to go to a divisional game after you've lost, but the Packers just did that. But it was the Lions,
And the Lions and Chiefs are two
Right.
different beasts. Yeah.
right? Or the Lions and Chargers, you mean?
Are you talking about the Chargers or the Chiefs? They both just lost and they're going to a divisional game now. So you can talk about it either way.
But I guess the Chiefs and Packers were looked at as top teams to start the season.
Either way,
You know,
the Chiefs
so-
and Chargers are both way up above the Lions.
Right,
so-
and yeah, so both teams, yes, are going to be facing a much better team than I think the Lions will be this year.
yes.
So it's not quite the same. It's the same but different. In those divisional games, the Chargers just sometimes have the Chiefs' number. I don't know what it is.
That's true. Well, I think they didn't beat them last year. The only divisional team who beat the Chiefs last year were the Raiders.
Mhm.
So
But 2 years ago, the Chargers swept them.
they did.
Mike Williams rookie
with
year.
Phillip Rivers.
Yep.
Yep. I forgot about
Which
that.
right, it was Phillip Rivers, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
give Herbert a shot now.
Again.
Remember, Herbert's first career start was 15 minutes before the Chiefs game,
And
and,
he
they
almost
almost beat him. So now he's got a year under his belt, some preparation. Maybe he
Yeah.
exercises
Again,
some demons there.
I picked different on this one, but I agree it could go either way.
That'll be a good one to watch. That'll be definitely a good game.
Definitely.
Should
Next
be.
game is Cardinals at Jags in Jacksonville. We both picked the Cardinals. Man,
almost went with this as the lock.
until Urban and Trevor Lawrence can prove something to me, I'm just gonna pick against them because it's
I
not-
guess the only thing I could see here is that maybe this is the time where Urban could outcoach him because Cliff is a young coach that maybe a little bit of the veteranness that Urban has as a college coach, because Cliff basically runs a college offense. I mean,
pretty much.
so-
Same with Kyler running around
Yeah,
back
I
there.
mean,
Why
so
wouldn't he?
maybe this will actually be the perfect warm-up game for Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. They'll be like, all right, we're going back to college. We're gonna play a college team. All right,
He's
University
ready.
of the Phoenix Cardinals.
For real, dude. I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
so maybe this is the surprise game where they
the
get
Cardinals showed a crack in their armor last week after a very decisive win over
it. Tennessee.
Tennessee. They beat
Right,
Tennessee
yeah.
week
So
one.
in Tennessee, and then Minnesota comes into Arizona, and I know, but
We
they
won.
should have beat them. I mean, I know
It's not going to show. Doesn't show on the record. We won that game. Like, it's just, you can't say we didn't. We
you
had
cut him?
mistakes, but not yet. Greg Joseph is still on the roster. Zim did come out publicly and say that it was, quote, an easy kick, though. Which you hate to see your coach come out and roast the player like that, but
That kicker is on the thinnest of ice.
he better have. All I'm
I
gonna
don't
say
think he
is
can miss again.
he better have a good game against the Seahawks.
If he misses an
Because
extra
we
point,
have-
he's done.
We of course have had some kicking woes against the Seahawks.
I think if it's
so-
anything less than 50,
He hit in that game though. He hit a 52-yarder, 2 52-yarders, I believe.
it's oh my god,
It's Blair Walsh. Oh no, and we're going against the Seahawks. Guys, this isn't good. This
this
isn't good. We just need to not kick against the Seahawks. Go for 2.
Well, look,
Kick it out of the back of the end
here's
zone.
the difference. In that game, you were playing at Gopher Stadium, outside
It's
in the
true.
cold.
That's
you
actually
are
a very
you
good
are
point.
in the bank now. You're in the vault, whatever you guys call
In the vault.
your.
I've never heard that, but I like that.
Oh, maybe that's who calls it the vault. I think that might be Nebraska's.
I'm not sure, but
Oh.
I like that. I might start saying that.
But whatever the hell you guys call your pirate ship of a stadium,
Does look like a pirate
it is
ship.
much different than being at Gopher Stadium. Which no disrespect to Gopher Stadium, that was a fine place, but
It's very
U.S.
true.
Bank is its own animal. Man, that was their opening night, and they had the Prince tribute. I knew right then and there the Packers weren't winning that game. I was like, no way.
Packers struggle against the Vikings. Packers are really bad overall in divisional. Next game on this list, though, speaking of divisional, is the Bears at the Browns in Cleveland. Yeah, at the Browns. Sorry, I started over myself a little bit there. Cal and I both have the Browns, and I have this as my lock. And I was telling Cal before we started recording, how ironic. Imagine me saying, even in just 2019, 2 years ago, 2 weeks in a row, I'm going with Browns as a guaranteed
As
win.
a guaranteed to eat the W.
Yeah, that is it's a crazy
against the
thing
Bears
to think
too,
about.
huh? I don't know. I thought that the Bengals would blow them out this week, or win pretty decisively, and
Yeah.
the Bears played much better than I thought they would. Even defensively, which I knew they had their defense was their strength already, but it played the defense itself played better than I even gave them credit for.
Yeah.
Especially the 3 picks will look good too, but they even before that they were winning most of that game. So
Yeah. If this is in Chicago instead of in Cleveland, I still pick the Browns, but not as my lock. But with it being in Cleveland,
it's not even that
I
far though.
think-
It's
I
like
think
the
it's a
same.
decisive
Chicago
win.
and Cleveland are just across the lake.
Well, I mean, but look at all the, like you said, with the West Coast teams going east, travel clearly doesn't matter too much. It's just the home field advantage of it is
Yeah.
the much more decisive
Yeah, you'll be
thing
in
when
the
going
in the
somewhere.
dog pound instead of the bear cage.
This is the first time Cleveland has really been able to be excited about a team in a long time. So I bet their home games are crazy. Because even when they were bad, their fans were so committed. So I can't even imagine what it's like now. They got to be like Bills level now.
Right?
And then speaking of Bills, the next game on the slate is the Washington football team at the Bills. So they will be going to see the Bills fans. And we both have the Bills in this one. I think it's pretty obvious why. The football team barely outlasted the Eagles, the Giants.
The Giants
last
played the Giants,
Thursday.
yeah.
And I believe that was in Washington even. I really like Taylor Heineke. I think he's good. I think,
He did look really good. He had that throw in the corner of the end zone to Ricky Seals-Jones,
yeah.
who I didn't even know was still playing. I was more stunned that Ricky Seals-Jones caught that pass and was still alive than Heineke threw that pass, which was still amazing in itself also.
Yeah, no, I really like the Washington football league team this year. That's an amazing young defense. That front seven is terrifying. I think Heineke is good. There's a lot of teams in the NFL I think they're better than. I think they're going to win the AFC East, but the Bills are just a good team. I think the Bills are going to win this. Did I say AFC East?
Yeah.
And they're going to win the NFC
Okay,
East.
because the Bills are projected to win the AFC East, so
I think
You got two East
actually,
teams here playing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think the
so-
football team's going to win the NFC East, and I think the Bills are going to win the AFC East. So, but yeah, I have the Bills winning this game.
I think so too. I think the Bills are just a more complete team. I mean, they should win this game. If Heineke does play and ball out like he did, I could see
I
where
could
they
easily
could
see
win
it.
also.
If
It comes
this
down
is-
to the defense.
Again, with the home field advantage kind of deciding it, if this is
Mm-hmm.
in Washington, I might think about the football team a little more. But with it being in Buffalo with that crazy fan base, I just got
and
to
there
take Buffalo.
again, all the fans are back, so they're everything. they're all of them are setting attendance records and
Yeah.
noise records and all that. So
Home field advantage is going to matter a lot
it's
this
going to
year.
make a difference this year now,
Next game up is the Colts.
more than ever before, I believe.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got another divisional game, or a divisional matchup, sorry. The Colts at the Titans. Now, we actually have differences on this one. Callan picked the Titans, and Derrick Henry, who we mentioned earlier, was on his fantasy team.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a little bit of an upset here. I didn't mark it as my upset, but I took a
Not
little
your
bit of an
upset
upset
special.
here with the Colts. Now, depending on if Carson Wentz plays, definitely changes that pick right there.
And that's
Jacob Eason does not win that game. Carson Wentz at 80%, I think, has a chance to win that game, especially with the team around him. Michael Pittman really showed up last week, kind of proved himself as that wide receiver one with T.Y. out. That defense is just overall pretty stellar. They're really going to have a challenge this week with Derrick Henry, but, I mean, last year against the Packers in week 1, people showed that Derrick Henry can be stopped. He's not this unstoppable force. So I like the Colts in this one. I think it's going to be an upset. here.
I don't think Wentz is going to play, and that's why I'm going with the Titans now.
Yeah.
Even if Wentz plays, he obviously won't be 100%. And I think that the Titans are on a roll now. They went to Seattle and won, which builds momentum no matter
Tough to
what.
do.
It's a
Yeah.
very tough place to play. And especially without Wentz or a less than 100% Wentz, they'll know that they can get to him. They know he won't be able as mobile as he was or as used to being with 2 sprained ankles because
that
that happens to only Carson Wentz. But
I know
so
this.
going off of that, that's why I think that Tennessee will win.
Yep. I know this is pretty kind of biased coming from a Vikings fan because we're in a very similar situation. But the fact that they decisively got beat week 1 by the Cardinals and Derrick Henry only had something crazy like 40 yards or it was something wild like that.
I think he had like 60, but
Still,
Yeah.
for Derrick Henry, that's insane.
right. He's usually
And then
a stat leader.
when they came in and had a upset, I'd say in my opinion, and Derrick Henry had 160 yard, it really just shows that Derrick Henry is that offense.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't really matter with A.J. Brown progressing. Doesn't matter that they brought in Julio. That offense isn't anything without Derrick Henry. So,
as good as Derrick Henry does, it's as good as the Titans.
so with the maniac Darius Leonard in that linebacking core, I think the Colts stop Derrick Henry, and I think they pull out that win. Next up, we got the Saints at the Patriots. And again, we have different picks. I have the Saints in this game, and Callan picked the home team Patriots.
This one was tough. I went back and forth on this one because I can't get a read on either of these teams. New England looked like New England of old last week, but that was against the Jets. And New Orleans looked great against Green Bay and then looked flat against Carolina. So
Speaking of biases, this is just a total bias thing for me. I don't like Mac Jones. I don't think he's the answer. I don't see myself picking the Patriots once this entire season. So
I was so confused. I was watching Red Zone, and they run the stats, the bottom line, and they kept showing passing leaders for the day. And they showed New England's passing leader as Michael Jones. I kept being like, who the hell is Michael Jones?
is that his full name?
I guess that's his name.
Why would they do that though? That's awful.
I know. And why aren't they just putting Mac?
I actually knew that Mac is like his middle name or like a
Is that,
abbreviation.
but
of his middle
it was
name or
throwing
something.
me off for a minute.
That's-
watching Red Zone because I was
Yeah.
like, what? Who do they have? What play did they run that they had Michael Jones throwing the ball?
Yeah,
and then
they
I
need
realized slowly, like, oh,
Yeah, they need to change that to Mac Jones.
Yeah, so
I picked the Saints because, they got a big old slice of humble pie. They
Yeah.
came in high against the Packers, got knocked down by the Panthers. But I think Sean Payton, even though I don't like him ever since, the old 09 headhunting thing, I hate Sean Payton. But I still respect the hell out of him. He's a really good coach. Really good coaches know how to bounce back from being humbled.
he's a good coach. He didn't need to do that.
I think they come back. I think they beat the Patriots. I think Jameis Winston has a good game again. Maybe not 5 touchdowns like he did against the
5
Packers.
touchdowns, 140 yards.
I could see less touchdowns, but a lot
More
more
yards.
yards. Yeah, but I just think the Saints win that one.
I went Patriots, just home field, going going
There's
to
so many games this week that are close.
And that same
just
thing, I can't get a read on either team. I don't know which one's going to show up. The flat one, the New England of old-looking team, or the New England that showed up week 1.
Yeah. Now here we go. This is NFL Week 3 matchup of the week quality stuff right here. We got the Atlanta Falcons traveling to New York to take on the Giants. Man, is that going to be a tank bowl garbage fire, to say the least.
I can't believe the NFL's letting these two
That
teams
is
play
going to
even.
be a fun game to watch.
Can't they like flex out or
Just
something like?
Flex, just totally don't even air it. Flex it out completely.
God, I think I just flipped a coin for this one. I thought more about the Pats Saints than this one,
Yeah.
even though the.
Well, your coin landed on the Giants. You have
Did
the Giants. I have the Atlanta Falcons this week. Last year, I had to sit there and watch. Granted, so for a quick explanation, just a little sidebar. The Vikings have one game a year where we just look like we're not even an NFL football team. We have a buttload of penalties, shit ton of
Turnovers
penalties,
and-
turnovers, bad decisions. And this is the first time that I ever remember watching the Vikings that we got out of the way week 1. That's definitely what we did week 1 against the Bengals, was get our awful game out of the way, and we still almost won it. So I like us for the rest of the season. But, what was it? Oh yeah, so last year our game that we did that against was the Falcons. And we didn't even just have a bad game, but the Falcons had a really good game, and they beat us by a lot. It was like 30-something to 3, I believe. And Matt Ryan balled out. So the Falcons are going to flip at some point. They've been looking bad. They got it close against the Bucs, who are a really good team. I really like Matt Ryan still, even though he's getting older. I think Kyle Pitts, it takes a little bit for a tight end to develop in this league, but I think he's going to do it quickly, considering he's pretty much a receiver. They still got Calvin Ridley. They're going to flip at some point.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be against this defense. That's why I picked the Falcons.
That offense is built to have some explosiveness to it. I'm kind of surprised that they're, acting so, already given up on the season, kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
they obviously scored points this week against Tampa, but week 1, they totally looked like they were just
They just look sluggish.
like, we
overall,
don't really
yeah.
want to play this year. Like, we're not going to win many games.
Yeah.
Like, they already knew. Like, can't we just get to the draft?
Yeah.
But they do have weapons still. They do definitely still have weapons. Mike Davis, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley. I mean, so it's in New York, though, right? They're going to the Meadowlands.
Yes,
And that's
it's at MetLife.
I think that's the one thing that really factored in to my thought process here of, well, Atlanta going outside of a dome to play in the Meadowlands, I think gives the Giants just a slight edge. Saquon played last week. Now he's had 10 days to rest and get better.
I've had Saquon on my fantasy team, and I haven't played him. I think I'm going to play him this week.
I think this will be it. He played a little sparingly. He didn't look great. He didn't look like himself.
Yeah, I think I'm going to
But
play him this
I
week.
think he was being pretty cautious, and especially I think the Giants were even being cautious with him.
Yep.
But this could be the week now where they unload him and he gets full strength.
Well, I'm gonna let you go deal with your dogs. Callan's dog are having
They're fighting.
They're having, I think, Michael Vick's in your basement
Yeah.
because your dogs are doing a fight club back there. While he's gone, I'm gonna do a quick thing for the Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers, because to be honest, in my opinion, that's kind of just to give me the Steelers have been playing well, even though they lost a close one to the Raiders. The Bengals have not been playing well. Joe Burrow had the 3 interceptions. Like I just said a second ago, the Vikings had their total "we're not an NFL team" game that they have each season, and they still almost lost to that awful playing Vikings team. So I think it's just kind of a give me that the Steelers win this one. It's at Pittsburgh, like I mentioned. It's got to happen. Callan and I both picked the Steelers, of course. Moving on to the next game, it is the Ravens at the Lions. And this is actually my upset special of the week. I picked the Lions in an upset to have Baltimore come into Detroit and beat them. I think that Lions team looks really decent. Not really good, but really decent, especially for how much of a rebuilding period they are. I think that secondary looked pretty good against a really good quarterback, and I'm not going to say receiving core, because let's be honest, Devontae is the only true receiver on that team. Callan isn't here to refute that. That's why I'm going to say it now. But I like the Lions in this one. Cal and I were joking around before we started recording, and the Ravens, after beating the Chiefs right now, are up on a high pedestal. But what they don't realize is them putting themselves on that pedestal puts their kneecaps right at Dan Campbell level, and he's going to take those kneecaps out and bring them back down.
He even got to go down for the kneecaps.
He don't even got to go down. He's just going straight through those kneecaps. So those are some of the factors why I picked the Lions as my upset. Callan has the Ravens as the winner.
Yeah, the Ravens are just a much more complete team, even though they are just a team of running backs.
Literally.
It seems to work for them.
Been saying that for a while.
And their defense is always pretty good. And Detroit is Detroit.
Yep. Yeah. There's not much to say about that game unless the Lions actually end up upsetting them. Then it's
Right.
going to be a huge game. A quick spotlight I'd like to give on two Lions players, one defense and one offense. Alex Alonso, the Detroit Lions linebacker, has been playing really well this season, played well against the Packers, and I think they're going to have him kind of, not true spy, but kind of keeping an eye on Lamar Jackson all game. Because if they can shut down that run game of Lamar Jackson, he's proved that he can't really throw it. He can make some throws, but he's just wildly inconsistent. And then a guy on offense I'd like to spotlight for them is rookie, 7th overall pick, Penei Sewell. He had a very good game going one-on-one with Nick Bosa week 1 against the 49ers. He pretty well shut down Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa only had 1 sack that game, and it was late in the game in the 4th quarter. And it wasn't even truly Penei's fault that he got that sack. So the fact that he went up one-on-one with a guy like Nick Bosa in one is pretty good. And he saw a lot of Preston Smith, who is a pretty good pass rusher off the Packers last night. We're recording this on Tuesday. Monday Night Football just happened last night. And I think he played well overall against the Packers, what I saw of him. So during the preseason, he wasn't looking too hot. And Cal and I were talking about that a little bit, and I said he's just got to develop a little bit. So I think as the season goes on, he's going to keep getting better, and he's going to be a really good lineman for that.
Yeah, he was their starting left tackle.
Yep, he played very well these first 2 weeks for what he's gone up against. So moving on to the next game, we got the Jets and Broncos. We both picked the Broncos. It's in Denver, I forgot to mention that. We both picked the Broncos, and Callan put the Broncos as his lock.
I guarantee it that the Broncos are winning this week. They're playing the Jets, who are flying into Denver. The Jets are a beaten down team already. They're pretty much the same thing as last year. I think that they will progress better than they did under Gase. But
definitely.
It's still just that same team. There's not enough talent there. And yeah, Kyle Wilson, he's going to be good, but... Kyle Wilson? What did I say?
Storm and Mormon, Zach
Wilson. Kyle Wilson.
Don't call him Kyle Wilson. No, I know I kind of let it slip and said I was pretty much giving up on them earlier, but that's not true. It's more just, I really like Zach Wilson. I think he's going to progress throughout this season. He's just running for his life. It's hard to do anything while you're running for your life. But he's a mobile quarterback. He's got to if he gets all this practice running for his life, and then the Jets actually kind of build around him, get Mekhi Becton back, Elijah Vera Tucker progresses, they get a couple more linemen this offseason, because they probably won't do anything in this season, truly. It's not over yet, but it's very low odds. If they can get a line around him, and then he has all this practice running for his life and still being able to make some of the throws and plays he was these first 2 weeks, he's going to be an unstoppable, man. He's going to be so good. He's going to be so hard to get a sack on. He's going to be so hard to stop. He's going to be a fun player to watch in the future. I really think he is.
Has a better chance than Sam Darnold did in New York.
Well,
and that's just because Adam Gase had already
exactly.
Right.
I really like.
They needed
Sam
to
Darnold,
start over, and Sam Darnold needed a new place. I mean, they both just needed to be like, okay, we're sorry about that. We're gonna send you to a good situation. We're gonna try this again.
It is crazy to see how a coach can just totally bring down a team, and especially a player.
Because I do think Saleh will do good. He has a lot of energy. He's very football smart.
I like Robert Saleh.
It's just, I think that team's just too young and too raw. Not enough talent there to really put a good consecutive competitive team together. Any given Sunday now, like they say, Jets come out and beat the Broncos by 20, but consecutively, consistently, it would say that the Broncos should win this one pretty easily as the lock of the week.
Like you said, I could see the Jets doing that, but I think it's just too low of odds, too unlikely. I picked the Broncos. But two teams back to back right there that I think really have a bright future in the Lions and Jets. I think it's funny that we talked about them back to back. But now that we have both of our upsets in and both of our locks in, we'll fly through some of these final games. We got the Miami Dolphins traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. We both have the Raiders in this game with the uncertainties with Tua. Callan likes Jacoby Brissett. I'm okay with Jacoby Brissett. But I think the Raiders are playing well right now. I think they continue to win.
The Raiders, I think, showed almost could make the argument they're the best team in the NFL right now. You go and you beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh. That's two, I'd say 5-star wins.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Especially considering the first one was... Have they been away?
Yeah,
they opened in
Allegiant
Stadium, and then it was at Pittsburgh,
and then they went to Pittsburgh.
Now they're back at Allegiant. Okay. Yeah.
So he'll be back in Vegas. So now you got an East Coast team coming to the West Coast to play a 3:00 game. And I don't know what the stats is on that or any of that strategy, but
sorry, that was my computer.
Ever since my whole basis of West Coast teams,
you're just constantly double thinking.
So now it's like, wait, so now does the East Coast team go and win in the West Coast time zone? So maybe the Dolphins win. I don't know. Maybe it's a backwards world.
Who knows,
and the East Coast teams go and...
This early in the season, everything's just a toss-up.
Yeah.
Next game on the list is Bucks at Rams. And surprisingly, when I picked them, I was kind of surprised Callan also picked them. We both picked the Rams. Man, Matthew Stafford has been looking good. He finally has a team around him. He has a defense that can hold a lead.
Wouldn't it have been great to see Stafford with a team for his whole career? I'm glad it wasn't the Lions because, NFC North, but...
Well, when he had Calvin Johnson and Nate Burleson and Reggie Bush,
they had good teams and they still couldn't...
Yeah.
I think that's just the Detroit curse,
it's just
man.
the Detroit
I don't know
thing.
What
they've just been waiting for them. They've just been waiting for the Messiah, and now he's here.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, the kneecap Messiah. But yeah, I think the Rams have a really good team overall. The Bucks have to travel to LA to face them and go into SoFi. I just like the Rams in this one. I could easily see the Bucks winning. Lots of close games this week, including this one. But
you got another East Coast team traveling across the country to the West Coast to play a late afternoon game, and I don't know what any of that means. If it has any saying or meaning at all,
but at this point.
But because of that, I'm going with the Rams.
Next up, we got the Seahawks at the Vikings. This is the Vikings' first home game of the year. We had to start the year with 2 travel games, which sucks to do, but it's good to be back at US Bank. And Callan and I both have the Vikings, which again surprised me that Callan picked the Vikings. But I just think we're gonna win eventually. We gotta. I think this is way too good of a team on paper to start 0-3. And don't get me wrong, the Seahawks are a really good team too. Another game this week that I could totally see going either way. I not even just being a Vikings fan though. I like the Vikings in this one. The only thing
I just don't think Seahawks have the defense anymore to keep up and shut down between Dalvin Cook, Thielen, Osborne, Jefferson. The Vikings look explosive.
Jefferson's been quiet this season, but if you remember, week 3
to start last
year against the Titans when he blew up. I'm watching for it to happen again.
And teams
and
know
that Seahawks secondary is not very good because Jamal Adams does not play deep.
No, Jamal.
So they're only going to have one deep safety. They're going to be
Quandre Diggs, though. I will say is a pretty good center fielder safety, but
they're going to have. They're going to have one deep safety.
Who's their corner?
I don't know. Because they got rid of Shaquille Griffin.
Yeah, I don't even know who their starting corners are. So
I have no idea. But one deep safety having to stop Thielen, KJ Osborne, and Justin Jefferson. I like those odds. I think the Vikings win that one.
I think the Seahawks will score some points, but yeah, I just think that as long as Minnesota can get into a groove offensively, they shouldn't have any problem with them, especially coming off of what a near miss win. They can't let that sink them. It's early still. They gotta come out and show some life here and really, secure the victory. Don't leave it up to the kicker.
Only way we lose this game is if it's just the kicker.
It's always the kicker.
Sunday Night Football this week is Packers traveling to California to face the 49ers. And we have difference in this one. I have the 49ers, and Callan, of course, has the Packers. The Niners are just a good team. The Packers haven't been playing too hot these first 2 weeks. Of course, they had the total meltdown against the Saints. They didn't really beat the Lions as good as they should have, even with it being a divisional matchup, with it being in Green Bay. I think they should have beat them by a lot more. That game should have been, because the points made it look decisive, but overall, I don't think that game was overly decisive. It's not like you just smoked them. You got
second half we did, but yeah,
you did. You got a couple of really clutch plays in the second half. I think now that you're facing a really good team in the Niners here in Levi Stadium,
yeah,
I just can't see you guys taking the win. I'm sorry.
San Francisco has really had our number lately. We beat them last year. We're able to go in and finally exercise that demon, but boy, they still have our number. I mean, in recent matchups, we've only won one or two. So hopefully maybe we can start a trend here. But like you said, we haven't played that great, and Rodgers hasn't played, excellent. He's played decent, and he's had some great plays, but he hasn't really put together a full game yet. Aaron Jones played great last night, Monday night.
Yeah,
he's the one that really played good, and I was glad to see that and make sure that the running game can keep going and be strong, since we just signed him to that huge extension. So that was good to see at least him and the running game really show up and get going. Little odd thing. So Aaron Jones, his father is an Army general, or was, and he passed away over the offseason. Well, he keeps a pendant on a necklace with his ashes in it. And during the celebration, or was it touchdowns, he lost the pendant on the field.
Oh, no.
Yeah. One of the Packers PR people searched the stadium till about 2:30 in the morning and found it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
on the field.
Yeah.
And returned it to him.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, that
would have been really sad.
Right,
actually.
yeah. So he got it back, and he said he doesn't know if he says he's probably going to not wear it.
Maybe probably like have warm-ups,
yeah, but maybe not wear it during games.
Yeah.
Which I get why.
Close
it was the first game since he had passed in Green Bay. He had a ton of family there because they were all allowed.
Cool.
So I get maybe why you wanted to wear it, but maybe that little first time was like, okay,
just be a little more careful.
But yeah, so it was cool. I'm glad that he got it back. All that, I guess players were staying back and like helping look for it and stuff. It was just a little tiny thing. So
that's cool.
And then there's all these reporters, people that aren't looking for it, and staff, and so you had some people kind of looking, and that said the PR staff just stayed. Once everyone cleared, they just started basically just walking around and eventually found it.
Good for them.
So,
moving on to the final game this week, we got Monday Night Football. It is the Eagles traveling to Dallas to face the Cowboys, and I don't got much to say about this one. Cal and I both picked the Cowboys. Eagles have been looking really inconsistent. The Cowboys' offense has been looking amazing. Their defense has been looking a lot better than I thought they would. Mm-hmm. I got the Cowboys.
Yeah, Philly, they look good week 1 and then look flat week 2. So this is another one where I'm not sure, can't get a read on this team, on which team's going to show up. But both weeks the Cowboys have consistently looked better, much to even though I thought they wouldn't. I thought Dak wouldn't quite be 100%. I still think Mike McCarthy's kind of an idiot. He doesn't know how to use Ezekiel Elliott, just like he didn't know how to use Aaron Jones. But he somehow knows how to use Tony Pollard.
He can catch.
So go figure. I don't know. But yeah, that offense is explosive, and I agree. The defense has played better than even I thought they would, because they didn't play very well last year. And I guess they're trying to mold the defense after the Seahawks defense, the Legion of Boom. Because it's Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator, who was the defensive coordinator of the Seahawks during that Legion of Boom era.
I guess that makes sense.
So yeah, and
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah. So I see Dallas should walk away with that one pretty easily, but as a divisional Monday night primetime game, never know.
Yeah,
The
could go
lights
either way.
go on.
Okay, so that is our predictions for week 3. Hopefully we can get this, well, it'll be on YouTube in some form, but hopefully we can get it how we want it on there. But thank you all so much for listening, and until next week,
Do not forget to eat the W.